What kind of man would claim a stranger as his wife in front of an entire town? Lily Fletcher asked herself that question the moment Ethan Sawyer rode into her life. The pistol shot cracked through the cold Montana morning. But Lily didn't flinch. She was used to it. Every day, someone fired a warning shot at her small cabin door, just to remind her she wasn't welcome in Bannack. They called her names. They whispered, "Witch." They blamed her for every sickness and every death. And still she stayed. Lily stepped outside, her thin dress pulled tight against the early wind. Her auburn hair was braided neatly down her back, and her tired green eyes stayed steady, even though fear turned in her stomach. "Get out here, witch woman!" Silas Perkins, the shopkeeper, shouted from the dusty road. Several men stood with him, arms crossed, eyes full of hatred. "I treated your wife as best I could," Lily said quietly. "The fever took her, not me." "Unnatural woman," another man growled. "Mixing potions, living alone, speaking strange words. Sheriff says it ain't illegal, but we all know what you are." Lily swallowed hard. She came west to escape her past in Philadelphia after her parents died. She brought nothing but her father's medical books and her mother's herbs. She hoped a frontier town with no doctor would be grateful. She had been wrong. She walked into town anyway. Bannack's main street was noisy, with miners, wagons, and gossip. When Lily entered the general store, everyone went silent. Customers cut in front of her. Some stared. Others stepped away like she carried a disease. She asked for flour, sugar, coffee, and lamp oil. Mrs. Holloway gathered the coins using a cloth instead of touching her hand. She lied about sugar being short. Lily knew she was lying, but she accepted the smaller amount. She didn't have the strength to argue. When she turned to leave, she bumped into Mary Sullivan, the saloon owner's daughter. "Pardon me," Lily said, steadying her. Mary jumped like Lily was fire. "Don't touch me," she yelled. "She grabbed me. She tried to curse me." A crowd gathered fast. Lily felt panic rise. "Not again. Not another accusation." "Maybe we ought to see if she floats," one miner muttered. "Or burns," another said with a sick smile. Before things got worse, Sheriff Williams pushed through the crowd. "That's enough," he said. "Miss Fletcher, head back home." "Sheriff, I have a right to." "I'm keeping the peace," he warned. His eyes said what his mouth didn't. These men were itching for trouble. Lily walked away, feeling their hatred like hot coals on her back. She was so tired. 6 months in Bannack, and nothing had changed. She helped deliver babies, treated injuries, saved a choking child. Still, they called her a witch. Halfway home, she heard hoofbeats behind her. She stepped aside, expecting more insults, but the rider slowed. "Miss?" a deep voice said. She looked up. A tall man sat on a chestnut horse, dust from the trail on his clothes. His blue eyes studied her with concern, not fear. His shirt was worn, his vest travel-stained, and his flat-brimmed hat marked him as someone who had ridden with soldiers. "You all right?" he asked. "Looked like trouble back there." Quote, "I'm fine," Lily replied, though her voice wavered. He dismounted easily. Up close, he looked around 30, strong, weathered, and calm. His gun belt rested on his hip like it belonged there, but there was nothing threatening about him. "Ethan Sawyer," he said, tipping his hat. "Just arrived." "Lily Fletcher," she answered, almost regretting giving her name. He'd learned soon enough what the town thought of her. "If you don't mind my asking," he said gently, "why were they treating you like that?" "Because I'm an undesirable here," Lily said quietly. "Anyone seen being friendly to me will become unwelcome too." "Is that so?" Ethan said, not sounding bothered at all. He reached for her packages. "May I help you?" "That's not necessary." But he had already taken them. They walked together, and whispers followed from far down the road. Bannack was already buzzing. "You should reconsider," Lily warned. "Your reputation will be ruined." "I don't form my opinions based on other folks' fears," Ethan replied. They reached her cabin just as Sheriff Williams rode up. "Mr. Sawyer," he called. "Need a word." Ethan kept his body relaxed, but Lily noticed his hand drift near his revolver. "I should warn you," the sheriff said carefully, "about the company you're keeping." "No need," Ethan said smoothly. "I know exactly whose company I'm in." And then, before Lily could breathe, he placed a steady hand at the small of her back. "I'm escorting my wife home." Lily nearly stumbled. "Wife?" The crowd around them gasped. Even the sheriff froze. "Your wife?" he repeated. "That's right," Ethan said firmly. "Been separated the last months while I finished business in Texas. Just got here to join her." No one spoke. Lily's heart pounded so hard she felt it in her ears. Ethan guided her toward her cabin, as if he truly belonged beside her. Only when the door closed behind them did she turn on him. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "Why would you lie like that?" Ethan set her packages down and met her eyes with a steady, serious look. "I don't claim women I've just met," he said. "But I've seen towns like this turn on people. It never ends well. I wasn't about to watch it happen again." "Again?" she asked, confused. He didn't answer that yet. He just added softly, "I bought you some time. Now we need to figure out how to use it." Lily stared at him, torn between fear, confusion, and something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Who would have thought one stranger's lie could change the entire town? Yet Lily woke the next morning knowing Bannock would never look at her the same again. She just didn't know whether that change would save her or destroy them both. Ethan was already awake, boiling water on her small stove like he'd lived there all his life. Sunlight slipped through the cracks in the cabin wall and lit the edges of his face, turning him from a stranger into something safer than she wanted to admit. "You slept lightly," Ethan said. "Not used to someone else being under your roof?" "Not used to someone claiming to be my husband," she answered. He gave a small nod. "Fair enough." Before she could ask the questions burning inside her, there was a knock at the cabin door, sharp and loud. Ethan's hand went to his gun instantly. Lily's breath hitched. Sheriff Williams. He wasn't alone. Behind him stood Silas Perkins, Mrs. Holloway, and two other townsmen. Their eyes darted from Lily to Ethan with suspicion and disbelief. "Mr. Sawyer," the sheriff began, "town council wants some clarity. Folks say your marriage seems convenient." Ethan smiled politely. "Only thing convenient is finally being reunited with my wife." "This woman has been calling herself Miss Fletcher for 6 months," Perkins spat. "Not once mentioned a husband." "It wasn't safe for a woman traveling alone to say she had one," Ethan replied calmly. "You and I both know that." Mrs. Holloway squinted. "Where are your marriage papers then?" "Destroyed when our wagon was raided outside Cheyenne," Ethan said smoothly, "but we were married in Austin. Reverend Thomas Harden. My sister Rebecca signed as witness." His voice didn't waver once. He sounded like a man repeating memories, not inventing lies. Lily watched the crowd shift uneasily. They didn't know enough to contradict him, and Bannock didn't have telegraph lines stretching to Texas yet. Sheriff Williams sighed. "Without proof, we can't deny the marriage. And we got other problems in town that need tending." Perkins glared at Lily. "This ain't over." Ethan shut the door before any more threats could be hurled. The moment it closed, Lily turned to him. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. "Yes," he said quietly, "I did." He didn't explain the flicker of pain in his eyes, but she sensed something deeper, something unspoken. "Now," he continued, soft but steady, "we need to make this believable." For the rest of the morning, they went over details, where they supposedly met, when they married, what they remembered about each other. They practiced the lies together until the story began to feel strangely real. By midday, Ethan insisted they go into town together. "People need to see us," he said. "It'll keep them from trying anything foolish." Walking through Bannock at Ethan's side felt like stepping into another world. The whispers didn't stop, but the tone had changed. Caution, curiosity, maybe even doubt. Ethan greeted everyone politely, his hand resting lightly at Lily's back. Not forceful, just steady, protective. At Holloway's general store, Mrs. Holloway's lips tightened when Ethan placed a large order. 20 pounds of flour, 10 of sugar, he said cheerfully. "Coffee, beans, salt, pork?" "That's quite a lot," she muttered. "We're settling in," Ethan said. My wife deserves proper supplies." Mrs. Holloway hesitated until Ethan mentioned taking their business to Virginia City. Suddenly, everything was available. To Lily's shock, the store even arranged delivery to her cabin. When they walked out, Lily shook her head. "I've never seen them treat me like that." "That's because," Ethan said, "you've never had someone stand with you." His words warmed her more than the sun at her back. They walked on. At the livery, at the boarding house, at the blacksmith's. Everywhere Ethan spoke kindly of Lily's healing knowledge. Everywhere he made sure people saw he respected her. Something inside her loosened, something she'd held tight for too long. But peace never lasted long in Bannock. Later that day, Sheriff Williams arrived at their cabin again, alone this time. He looked uneasy. "Mind if I speak privately?" he asked. "Anything you need to say to me can be said in front of my wife," Ethan said firmly. The sheriff exhaled. "Rumors are spreading again. Perkins has been asking questions about you in Virginia City. Says messages from Texas prove you were dishonorably discharged. Says you're not who you claim to be." Lily felt a chill. She looked at Ethan. He kept his face calm, but silence settled heavily in the room. "I knew Perkins would go digging," Ethan said at last. "Let him. He'll find nothing that threatens us." The sheriff studied Ethan for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Just be careful. The town's uneasy." When he left, the silence in the cabin grew thick. Lily stepped closer. "Is any of it true?" she asked softly. "Anything that might hurt us?" Ethan hesitated, just long enough to make her heart squeeze. Then, "No," he said. "Perkins is making things up." Quote. But something in his eyes told her the truth was more complicated. Night crept over the cabin, and Lily lay awake listening to the crackling fire. Ethan slept on the small bed he'd built for himself near the stove, breathing evenly, but she knew neither of them truly rested. Their lie had saved her once. But Lily felt it now, the storm gathering over them. Perkins wasn't done, and Ethan Sawyer carried secrets. Secrets that could either protect her or burn everything they'd built to the ground. The trouble came faster than either of them expected. It didn't knock, it didn't warn. It arrived like a trap already set. 3 nights after Sheriff Williams gave his warning, someone knocked at Lily's door. Not loud, not angry, just a soft, shaky tapping. Lily opened it and found Mary Sullivan standing there, her hands twisting in her apron. "Mrs. Sawyer," Mary whispered, "please come quick." "My little brother Tommy fell from the loft. He hit his head. He won't wake up." Lily didn't think twice. She grabbed her medical bag. "I'll come right away." Ethan stood up from his chair. "I'll go with you." Mary shook her head fast. "Ma," said only Mrs. Sawyer, "please hurry." Lily glanced at Ethan. He didn't like it. She could see it in how his jaw tightened. "Be careful," he murmured, touching her arm. "I will," she promised. Mary led her through the dark streets, down the back alley behind the saloon. When they reached the small living space behind the building, Lily stepped inside. Everything felt wrong. It was too quiet, too still, too expectant. Mrs. Sullivan stood beside her son, who lay on the sofa. He looked pale, but his breathing was steady. Something didn't fit. Lily's heartbeat began to race. She leaned over the boy. His pupils were even, his body warm, his pulse strong. This child wasn't unconscious. Before she could speak, the back door slammed open. Silas Perkins strode in with 3 other men. Their faces were hard, their eyes cold. "Well," Perkins said with a cruel smile. "Look at that, the witch caught in the act." Lily stood tall even as fear slid into her bones. "This boy is fine," she said. "There is no head injury. Someone made him drink a sleeping mixture." Mrs. Sullivan looked down at her hands. Shame washed over her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "He told me to do it." "He said it was the only way to make you come." Lily felt cold all over. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't even about Tommy. This was a trap. "You planned this," Lily whispered. Perkins stepped closer. "The town will finally see you for what you are." I am a healer, Lily said, not a witch. You can tell that to the judge, Perkins sneered, but you won't get the chance. The men moved toward her. Lily tried to step back, but the room was too small. Hands grabbed her arms. Panic twisted in her chest. Someone help her! Mrs. Sullivan cried weakly, but it was too late. Perkins was ready to drag Lily out into the night. Then the front door exploded inward. Ethan Sawyer stood there with his gun raised, his eyes blazing with fury. "Let her go," he said. His voice was steady, quiet, deadly. The men froze. "This don't concern you," Perkins snapped. "It concerns me the moment you lay a hand on my wife." Quote. The word wife hit the room like thunder. Ethan stepped forward. "I said let her go." They hesitated. That was all he needed. Sheriff Williams burst in behind him, gun drawn. "What in the world is going on here?" the sheriff demanded. "She was poisoning my boy," Perkins shouted. "Caught her red-handed." "That's a lie," Lily said firmly. "This was planned." Sheriff Williams turned to Mrs. Sullivan. "Is that true?" Tears streamed down her face. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "Perkins made me. He said it was the only way to stop her. I didn't know he meant to hurt her." Perkins, face drained of color. "That's enough," the sheriff growled. "Silas Perkins, you're under arrest." "For what?" Perkins yelled. "For conspiring with the road agents," the sheriff replied. "For trying to frame Ethan Sawyer with forged letters, and for setting a trap for Mrs. Sawyer." Gasps filled the room. "You thought no one would find out," Sheriff Williams said. "But the code you used to send messages to those bandits was found in your shop." The men who had helped Perkins backed away fast. No one wanted to defend him now. The sheriff cuffed him and dragged him out the door. When they were gone, Ethan rushed to Lily and pulled her into his arms. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No," she whispered. "You came." "I'll always come," he said. Always. That night, back at the cabin, Lily sat by the fire, still shaken. Ethan knelt in front of her, taking her hands. "Lily," he said softly, "I need to tell you something." Her breath caught. His eyes were so full of something she didn't want to name yet. "Our marriage. It stopped being pretend for me a long time ago." Her heart skipped. "When I heard you were in danger tonight, something inside me broke. I can't lose you. I care for you, Lily. I care in a way I never expected." Her eyes filled. "Ethan." "You don't have to say anything," he said gently. "I just needed you to know." "I was trying to tell you something before Sheriff Williams came yesterday," she whispered. Hope flickered in his eyes. "What were you trying to say?" "That I don't want this marriage to end in 6 months," Lily said. "I don't want you to leave. I don't want us to be pretend." Ethan reached up and cupped her cheek. "Lily Fletcher Sawyer, would you make this real? For good, not out of fear, not for safety, but because I'm in love with you." She answered without thinking, "Yes." His mouth met hers, soft at first, then full of a warmth she had never known. When they finally pulled apart, he held her close, his forehead resting against hers. "No more pretending," he whispered. "No more fear," she replied. "No more lies," he said. "Only us," she finished. "Benak would talk. Benak would gossip. But Benak would also see the truth, the woman they once mocked. And the cowboy who once claimed her as his wife on a whim had somehow created the most unexpected love story the Montana Territory had ever seen.